under Winkin Lizards in many locations, also Flannery's, Gormley's, PJ McIntyre's, many establishments in Northeast Ohio, but we also have a Gold Ale, which is absolutely fantastic, and our Black Marble Stout, and that's the one that you said you might come off the wagon for.
Well, Bridget, you will have a rough time with Mrs. Quinn
Oh,
if
why-
I come off the wagon.
No, and that won't happen. I won't
Okay.
come any further.
Just tell Pat Doherty that the spuds he grows are the best.
And he's going to be putting them in the ground in this spring, and I'll be bringing you a 50-pound bag next spring.
Thank you, Bridget.
Make that two 25-pound bags,
Now,
one for him, one for me.
Jason, you will not eat 25 pounds of spuds in 20 years. I know you won't. I'll eat 25 pounds in less than a week.
You do.
Oh yeah, we go through them pretty fast. Now, one of the things that you and Bridget are working on is you're working on our tours of Ireland through the station, with the station 10. But you're also kind of amalgamating this thing in with the brewery over, with the brewers over in Ireland. Tell us about it.
Yeah, Jerry, I appreciate that. And we've talked about your tour, and I've kind of highlighted it, the St. Patrick's Day tour that we're planning. And, you know, as we know, and to the chagrin of many, I'm sure, St. Patrick's Day is more than just a religious holiday, both here in the United States and also in Ireland. And in Ireland, they actually spend a whole week celebrating those things that make Ireland special. So we had planned a Ireland St. Patrick's Day in Dublin tour, and our good friends and partners over at Smithwick's got involved, and they took it to a whole nother level. And again, since she is a great ambassador, I'm going to let Bridget kind of talk to the things that Dan Smithwick and Sullivans have planned for us, and some of our other partners.
Yeah, so Dan Smithwick is the CEO of Sullivan's Brewing Company. And when we presented this tour and this idea of kind of wrapping the Sullivan brand around this great tour to Ireland for St. Patrick's Day, he became very excited, and he made many recommendations about different places that we could go to make this trip a trip of a lifetime. Mm-hmm. One of the great partners we reached out to was John Lane of the Winking Lizards, and they're going to be offering through their stores 2 free trips to Ireland. And the way you can do that is if you enter the Tour of Beers, which they have every year. It's a great program to get people to taste different beers and know different beers, and that's just right up John Lane's alley. And he made many recommendations based on his own connections and networks with different distilleries. You can talk to that, Tim?
Yeah, thank you, Bridget. Yeah, and I thought that your name had cachet over in Ireland, Jerry, but once Dan Smithwick started making calls, and it does, Jerry, trust me on that.
Darn right. And rightly so.
And rightly so is correct. I can't wait for that red carpet walk in Ballina. But yes, I mean, Dan to kick off, Dan Smithwick and Sullivans to kick off the week-long celebration of St. Patrick's Day. We are starting our first day in Kilkenny, and we're going to have a private concert. I can't name the artists that are going to be there because the ink is not dry on their contracts, and I don't want to put myself in an unfavorable negotiating stance, but we're going to have a private concert at the castle, or at least a reception. We're still working out the details. If not at the castle, at that great tasting room facility.
Our tap room right on John Street in Kilkenny. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and so Dan set that up, and then as luck would have it, John Lane, who is a world traveler and has done many private tours to Europe before, John was able to, and JC, you'll love this one, John has got the folks over at Middleton Distillery in Cork to give us a private tour.
Wonderful.
Of course, that is the home of the great Redbreast, which I think is the ambassador's favorite Irish whiskey, because it's got great taste. So
Ambassador Crawford?
Ambassador
Yes,
Crawford.
yes, he loves that whiskey.
Yeah, so John's actually lined up, John Lane has lined up a private distillery tour for our group. Then after that, of course, now that we're ready, we'll then take on the Stone of Eloquence, of course. We'll go to Blarney Castle, and then we'll end up on our second day in Ireland in Killarney. And there again, I think that our partners in Sullivans, and I can't recall the pub there, but they've got a great relationship. Bridget, do you remember?
I don't have it at the top of my head. I'm sure Dan Smithwick would let us know.
Oh, yeah. But in talking to Dan, when I reviewed it, it really does seem like a great, it's right there by the square, Jerry. You recall when we stayed the first time when we went over. Great trad music, great food, great pint, obviously, with the Smittix.
Sullivans.
So yeah,
Sullivans.
sorry about that. It's because of Dan Smithick.
Yeah, I
that's
think
what
we
threw me
better
off.
clear this up right now. Smithick is, when people talk about Smithick's beer, they're not talking about Sullivan's. They're talking about actually Diageo,
Correct.
who owns Smithick. Smithick's was sold years ago with Guinness. That were sold to Diageo, which I think is a Dutch company. Is it or no, British?
I know, I know they're headquartered in London.
Yeah. So I mean, this is before there was the Smithick's, there was Sullivan's.
Correct. Sullivan's was the very first commercial brewing company in Ireland, 1702. They competed with Guinness and Smittix up until a fateful day in 1918 when a young Sullivan decided to impress a pretty girl with a huge bet on what was supposed to be the winning horse that lost.
And he lost.
He lost, and to add insult to injury, he refused to duel the gentleman that he was supposed to be trying to get the girl from. So with all that debt, the only asset they had to cover it was the brewery and the brewing rights. They sold it to the Smithick family, and that was pretty much the end of Sullivan's, until after Diageo bought Guinness and Smittix. When they did, they closed a brewery in Kilkenny that had been there for generations. That was the call to action for the Smithick family. They knew they had to bring the brewing back to the heart of Ireland. So it was with those Sullivan brewing rights, they got together with the Sullivan family as well, and Ian Hamilton, a world-renowned brewing master from Kilkenny. And they said, Kilkenny needs a brewery, brewing's in our blood. Let's do the right thing. So they got the brewing up and running by 2015. In 2017, with his first ale as an independent brewer, our great Maltings Red Ale, they became the first and only Irish ale so far in history to win Best Ale in the world.
Nice, nice. So Dan Smithick right now is the CEO of Sullivan's Brewing Company.
Correct, and Alan Sullivan Smithick is our director of operations. He'd be of the both great brewing families, and he is a direct descendant of Daniel O'Connell, the great liberator.
Oh, that's something.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, and my apologies. The reason why that other brew came off my lips is muscle memory, because I always loved the great Irish Red Ale, but when you guys came and started brewing it, I would tell you that Sullivan's is much better, with all due respect to the Smithick brand, but much better than Smithick's Red Ale. So.
Ian insists on a very traditional way of brewing. It's called batch brewing, meaning we ferment it in small batches, 4 times longer than any other commercial brew to market. So we take our time, and it certainly shows in the liquid. It's just fantastic.
So has the market opened up now, Bridget, quite a bit since the relaxation of the rules in Ireland and in America?
It has. Although because of the labor shortage, a lot of our restaurants are very short-staffed. So they have to close on certain days or close earlier. So your hours are shorter. But everybody's trying to get back to some sort of normal. And we had the Celtic Fest where we served all our beers a couple of weeks ago at the Mentor Civic Center. And, we could see that the crowd wasn't there. I mean, everything was there for a great festival. People are kind of getting there, Jerry. It just, slowly and in time, we'll be back to normal.
Yeah, Jerry, and the Irish are doing well on their vaccination rates. And as of right now, they are clearly welcoming the folks from the United States, as are we going to be welcoming the folks from Ireland and the EU here in a month or so. Okay, so yeah, we look forward to it, and we're confident on this tour in March taking place. And like I said, to get back to the itinerary before my faux pas, there you go.
You're speaking that French again.
Oh, I know exactly, right? And I took Spanish, and that's why I struggled with it. So what we're going to do is 2 nights in Killarney. The second day in Killarney, we're going to take a trip over the Dingle Peninsula, which I think National Geographic says is one of the most beautiful spots in the world. Okay, spend a little time in the city of Dingle itself. One of the 3, in my estimation, greatest places in Ireland: Dingle, Adare, and of course the great city of Clifton. Again, I think a favorite of the ambassador, as based on my conversations with him. But we're going to do Dingle Peninsula, back to Killarney for 2 nights. Then, of course, we're going to go into the most eclectic city in all of Ireland, and that would be the great town of Galway. Okay, we've got some entertainment planned for Galway. Again, I can't announce that yet. I will in the next couple of weeks. But we know that Galway is all about the buskers. in addition to a lot of things. But it's a great way to really experience Ireland as we go into what is the final chapter of the tour, which is 3 spectacular nights in Ireland, in Dublin rather. And those 3 nights, what we're going to do, we're going to kick it off with the night before St. Patrick's Day with your good friends, the Plowboys. Right?
Mary Plowboys, yeah.
Mary Plowboys. We're going to go up there for a dinner and traditional music and entertainment. That'll set us for the next day, St. Patrick's Day. Speak about O'Connell. We have a private grandstand on O'Connell Street, which is, for those who have been there, is really the kickoff of the parade. Is just down the road from the square there. So you're going to get to see the parade at the early part of it, and then you'll be released to go about the rest of Dublin for the remainder of the day. So that'll be on St. Patrick's Day itself. And then knowing that our travelers and guests are going to want to spend that extra day in Dublin on the 18th, we're going to stay an extra day in there. And we'll go about and we'll visit the storehouse, and we'll go, of course, courtesy of John Lane again, we'll be going to the Irish distillery there in Dublin, which is owned by Pernod Ricard. Is that right? I believe I have that right. So again, it is what was a great tour and travel experience is now really arguably an awesome experience. And you know, we always reference that everything we do is to achieve anyone's bucket list, and this really is. You know, a lot of people talk about going over and spending St. Patrick's Day in Dublin, and I can't think of any better way than to do it this upcoming spring, and to do it with the assistance of our great friends at Sullivans.
The last time I spent St. Patrick's Day in Dublin, I was working there. And actually, that's how I got into radio, Tim. I think I told you that story. I made a phone call. I went to my office in Dublin. Wasn't much going on that day because back in 1979, it wasn't like it is today. So I went into my office and I made a phone call to Cleveland to a fellow named Leo D'Arcy, who you know, I think. Leo D'Arcy, remember? Ran a radio station in Willoughby. I called him and we chatted on the phone for 2 hours because I had nothing else to do. And after the conversation, he said to me, I recorded the whole 2 hours of our conversation, and I'm going to use it on our radio today because we have no Irish program. We're going to use clips of it. And he says, of course, you got to promise me when you come back to America in February that you will start an Irish program. And that's why I began in radio 41 years ago.
That's a great story, and the 1330 really was in the forefront of doing a lot of that great ethnic heritage radio in town, so that's awesome. But
Leo was a wonderful, wonderful person, but again, that's the last time I spent St. Patrick's Day in Dublin. And God, I'd love to go on this tour, but I got my own to worry about it.
which is also a great tour.
We got to talk about that too, you know.
Yeah, and we will. And again, as Bridget had mentioned earlier, we are having a contest along with you, Jerry. Quinn Irish Radio and Streamstown Entertainment are offering this opportunity for people to win a tour, that tour that we're taking for St. Patrick's Day over. So, and she had mentioned our partners as to...
With Winking Lizard, they're going to have their own 2 free trips. So someone from the Winking Lizard, any of the Winking Lizards, will be entered to win, and they'll win 2 free trips. But we also wanted to honor our other partners here in Cleveland. So we're going to be offering 2 free trips through some of the, you know, like PJ McIntyre's, Flannery's, Gormley's, some of our great partners in all of Northeast Ohio that have been with us for forever.
Could you mention
the Barrel Room down in Canton was the first.
Can you mention some of the
first
places
one.
that sell your product, Bridget?
Oh yeah, so yeah, of course the Winking Lizards, like I mentioned, Flannery's, Gormley's, PJ McIntyre's. We have bars down all the way down to Canton. The Barrel Room. We have Brewbaker's Pub in Stowe. We have TGIF in Stowe. I was in 5 places in Medina yesterday doing samplings, like PJ.
Now you have
PJ
to go
Marley's.
to Gandalf's. We
I'd
have
like
to get
to
Sean
Gandalf's.
Lackey on board here.
I'd like to get to Gandalf's. So we're in, you know, like PJ Marley, 17 Public, Johnny J's has picked us up. I mean, we're in about 50 bars in Northeast Ohio. Johnny Malloy's in Medina is another great one. Tony Maloney's, you know, there's so many that I could tell you about, and they're just fantastic places to be, great homes for Sullivans, and we want to give back. Dan Smittick, is one of his philosophies is you got to give to get. And that's kind of what we really want to do, is give back to the community, be part of the community, do fundraising, and just be great neighbors and great part of Northeast
Of
Ohio.
course, if somebody needs to have a six-pack,
They can go to a Giant Eagles, Heinen's, Brewer Markets, Acme Markets. A lot of our drug marts are picking us up now. I mean, it's just going gangbusters.
and look for the name, Sullivans.
Sullivan's, yes, you'll see a 4-pack beautifully displayed of a red can, a 4-pack of red cans, 4-pack of our gold, which is absolutely beautiful, beautiful liquid.
Yes, I'm taking a picture of it right here. There
And I
it
gave
is, right
yeah,
now.
JC I brought him one of our fine gold ales.
Oh yeah,
That's the Irish
JC,
gold.
don't be drinking that now.
It's kettle hot, beautifully, just a nice crisp, traditional Irish gold ale. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, actually, Jerry, she brought this for you, but I know you don't drink, so
And
I
gotta tell you
absconded
what, and proof was in the pudding at the Celtic Fest. You know, a lot of people came up and they were thinking that they were going to find a Guinness because it's just what they see typically. But when when I explained the story to them and they tasted it, they were blown away. Everybody that tasted the beer at any place absolutely loves it.
Okay. Yeah, now I just have a message here from John Comerford. John lives here in Cleveland, and he says to make sure and get to Comerford Castle in Kilkenny. I'm not familiar with it, John. Are you sure it's not a few rocks of the original castle that's left? John, well, you tell me. But anyway, Comerford Castle. May not sound like an Irish name, but that is a pretty popular name around that part of the country. Okay, I'm going to shut off the video here now and go back to my regular programming. So, okay. It's 19 minutes past 11 o'clock here. For that person, whoever it is you?
And my wife Patricia, yes.
Oh, for
51 years.
How many?
51 years.
You guys are newlyweds.
I know.
Okay.
I didn't know
do
a
you-
woman could suffer that many years.
Do you remember when Bill Randall was with us?
Oh, absolutely.
He made this song a household name in this in Northeast Ohio. It's called "After All These Years." It's a lovely song, Foster and Allen. Here it is. After all these years, we're going after the St. Patrick's one is so. It's a great thing, I think, that our station is getting engaged in this, and it'll kind of satisfy a lot of different people that like different types of tours.
Yeah, Jerry, I do appreciate you reminding, and yours really is an exceptional tour, and we've talked about it. I would suggest the level of interest in your tour is so high that what I'm really asking is we're at that level where I may need to take on a second bus and get extra accommodations. So one thing I would ask is for those who have expressed interest in your tour, and as you know, real quick refresher, we are going into Northern Ireland, spending 2 nights in Belfast, of course, 2 in Donegal. So, you know, again, it's that roads less travel kind of approach that we take to Ireland. 2 in your hometown, Ballina, which is the mile-long red carpet is now being groomed and ready for your appearance as they shut down the town.
You're so nice.
Green carpet, green carpet.
I wish I were kidding, but I tell you, JC, they shut down the town whenever
Terry,
Jerry comes back in.
Terry Riley and Michael Larkin, they were responsible for that. Remember the Atlantic dancing group we had?
Oh, it
they were
was great.
just fabulous. Atlantic Wave, I think it was called, yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, and of course Galway, and of course then the last night back at the Irish Sea, back in Dublin, because we'll fly back out of Dublin. But the point about that tour is, again, I'm at that point where we've had enough interest. I asked 2 things, that those who are serious about reserving their spot, that they send in a deposit, and the deposit for your tour and actually for the St. Patrick's Day one, we asked for $250. We actually hold that until 100 days out, so that if things change, it's easy enough for me to get that deposit, fully refundable deposit, back to the folks. But I need to start to get a count for yours, because
Nail down the seats.
yeah, we really do need to nail down the seats, because, you know, people are ready to travel again, and there's no greater place in the world to go than Ireland, and that's evidenced by the kind of interest we have here. But if I need to add that second bus, I need to get those hotel rooms reserved, because it's the early part of high season, and I just want to get out ahead of it. So I would suggest that any questions that you have about that, 216-210-0828 is always the best way to reach me. And I can fill you in on that. But again, for those who've expressed interest, please follow through with that. For those who want to go, we still do have seats available. But again, I'm at that point where I'm probably going to keep the buses at a comfortable level, probably add a second bus on there.
Now, here's another thing I'm hearing, Tim, and I haven't talked to you about this. I was talking to somebody in Ireland recently, and the price of rooms in Ireland for a hotel right now has skyrocketed, even bed and breakfast. So we don't know what it's going to be like next June or next March. So it is, I think, in the people's best interest to make the reservation now, nail down that price. I have heard of a bed and breakfast in Ireland in County Clare at $490 for 2 people. Bed and breakfast. And hotels are $400 a night just for one person in a lot of places. Now that won't always continue. Part of that has to do with the COVID, but we don't know what it's going to be like in June. So I think it behooves everybody to make the reservation now, get that deposit in, and you have nailed down the price of your tour.
Yeah, Jerry, that's a great point. And because we had the clarity to get out and reserve this in advance, we really do have great pricing. And as is typical for your tour, we are going to luxury 4- and 5-star accommodations. Okay, which again, it does matter in some ways. But it's a great point that you have. Everything that we have is locked in as far as that cost, and in a rising rate environment, not just here but in Ireland, it is a good way to get in and go on with tour provider CIE, which is arguably the largest and oldest on the island. So those are the inherent advantages. I would say one thing, and in true testament to what a great ambassador, brand ambassador is, Bridget needs to correct the record that I had not followed through with on the great partner that they have in Killarney, and then the distillery in Dublin. So, Bridget?
Right, so the establishment where we're going to be taking you to in Killarney is J.M. Reedy's. Dan Smittick has a great relationship with the owner, and they're going to be putting on a great night for us there. And then it's the Pierce Lyons Distillery in Dublin. That's, right there on, what street is that on?
Probably off Grafton Street, maybe.
Well, yeah, it's into Liberties. It's kind of close.
To Liberties, yeah.
It's close to the storehouse, and I'll just reference
okay.
it as a storehouse out of respect for the better tasting ale that is produced by our friends at Sullivans. But yeah, so thank you, Bridget.
My pleasure.
Now, Bridget, one of the things that I've been working on for you, and I want you to relay this to Dan Smith, I am trying to get my cousin T. Brannis pub in Ballina selling Sullivans.
And
I hope they do.
you know what?
They were closed for a long time, but they're open now. And
We'll get one of our brand ambassadors, probably maybe Alan Sullivan Smithick, to pop in there.
stop in to see Tomas Walsh, my cousin. We remember him, Tim. He hosted our big traditional night at his pub when we were there last time.
It's a great pub, and I got to admit, hopefully your ambassador can get there, because I'll be there in June, and I'm not drinking any Irish Red over there or here unless it is a Sullivan's.
There. All right. Again, Tim, stop at the Wink and Lizard. You can pick up whatever the paperwork, whatever is needed for the contest to win the trips, right?
So how you do that is when you enter the tour of beers, which they have every year, you are automatically entered to win the competition.
Oh, okay.
And how we're working it with our other partners, there will be posters in these establishments. So every time you go in to visit, you can enter to win by taking a picture of the QR code that'll be there. It'll take you to a landing page. It'll tell you all about the tour. And then we'll be making a great announcement of the winner, I think sometime in January.
I might try and win that myself. I'll get there twice.
We'd love to have you, Jerry. Wouldn't that be fun?
But you're going to make me pay for the first. If I go, I have to pay for it. I have to win it. I got to try like everybody else.
Hey, Jerry, got
No special privileges.
a quick story about my first trip to Ireland. Had lunch, brunch in a restaurant on Lower Bagot Street. And I was with an American congressman and the Irish ambassador
Was
to
that
Ireland.
Martin Hoke you were with?
I was.
I remember Martin well.
And he spoke French, and so did Jean Kennedy Smith. And they ordered their dinner in French. And came my turn to order. I said, I'll have a Sullivans and a fish fry.
And go wrong, JC. All right, back to the music right now. Here's the Border Collies. It's called The Man in the Bog.
Thank you, Jerry.
Are we all right?
Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you for coming and visiting with us.
It feels like home somehow, Jerry, whenever I come back here.
You
We
what?
just love it. Feels a little bit like home
Oh, I hope so, Bridget.
with friends, you know, it's great.
We feel like you belong in the family. Thank you.
Thank
Great.
you. Thank you so much for having me.
All
Thanks
right.
for being fans.
I leave here with the immortal words of John Locke when he wrote, "Oh, Ireland, isn't it grand you look, like a bride in a rich adorning, and with all the pent-up love in my heart, I bid you, the top of the morning." I'm Jerry Quinn. Good day.